My mother-in-law hates me. Well, she hates me so much that she decides to cancel my honeymoon with my soon-to-be husband, aka her son. And the only excuse she gives me is because I am not good enough. And she wants her precious baby boy to get back with the ex, who, by the way, he hates. Guys, this story gets wild. Yeah, where do I even start? My mother-in-law hates me. Mother-in-law loves my husband's ex-girlfriend so much that she kept in touch with her and still wants my husband to leave me to be with her. I got engaged to a man whom I love dearly, and I know what I want is to spend the rest of my days with him. I'm 29 and Mark is 30. We met through a mutual friend and just hit it off. We've been together for a few years now, during which his mother has met briefly twice. Mark is a great guy, smart, funny, kind, and polite to my parents. He's a hard worker and has plenty of ambition to do great in life. He's legit of the best people you could meet. He also has a nice stable government job, making pretty decent money, and has been one of my biggest supporters throughout the latter half of my PhD. Ever since he entered my life, I've been substantially happier and healthy. Mark's mom is our main issue. The problem is she, who's recently divorced, really doesn't like me. I'm a freelance customer support agent for starters. I moved to this state from like 8 hours away for a job and then 2 hours to our current city for a job. Now, I live several hours from my family and don't have a job anymore. I got a new one as a night shift representative, but I don't make much money. I want a day job, but due to my car dying when I moved here, I have no vehicle. His mother always says stuff about me not having a real job and about not having a car. She thinks she knows all she needs to know about me from my LinkedIn profile and looks down on me for having worked at Walmart during college. His mother is quite a snob. She cares a lot about image and what other people think. Her other reason for totally writing me off without giving me a chance is because apparently my family isn't the best. We're not well off, a little different than the average, and very different from his. My mom hasn't worked in 20 plus years, and my father is the one that provides for the family and has paid for my bachelor degree, as well for my expenses occasionally. But she literally adores his ex-girlfriend, who has the same age as me. My mother-in-law and sister-in-laws are still friends with Sarah on Facebook. I'm not sure how much she's on there, but every time we visit her, she brings her up once or twice. Every chance she gets, she makes some comments while I'm there like, "Wow, your ex had such a glow up lately. Look at her lashes. Oh, Sarah doesn't seem very happy. Your ex used to treat you so nice." I don't know, it just kind of makes me mad and makes me jealous at the same time. They still talk, they both love to gossip, have no sense of boundaries. For context, Sarah is a social butterfly. Everyone knows her and everyone likes her. She can talk to anyone and get along with everyone. Plus, she's almost as wealthy as Mark. She and Mark had been broken up for almost 3 years when we met. Their relationship was complicated at best, as they were high school sweethearts at 15. Moved in together at 20 and broke up at 25. She even posted a quote family photo with herself, Mark, my sister-in-law's brother-in-law, his wife, and Sarah. It was a very old photo, but she posted it recently. Mark and I aren't active on Facebook, but my mom does and showed us the photo. She was confused by it, and when we told her that was his ex-girlfriend, without hesitation she deleted her mother-in-law and said that woman doesn't have any respect for me. Go Mom! There was this family dinner at Mark's house where I decided to clear things up. I started off by thanking her for having me over, and then asked if we could talk privately, just for a moment. So we went into the living room, and I told Linda, "I've noticed that you don't seem to like me very much, and I'm not sure why. I feel like I've done nothing bad to you, and yet you keep comparing me to Sarah, and just making offhanded comments about my job and family. Can you just tell me what's going on, please?" She looked surprised, but then said, "Oh, Jane, it's not that I don't like you. I just think that Mark, could have done way better. You know? I mean, Sarah is a lovely girl, plus I knew from when Mark was a child that he and Sarah had a special connection that I don't see between you two." I felt my anger level rising, and I just left the dinner without saying a word. The next time I visited, I was shocked to see the Facebook picture framed on the wall. I lashed out asking about how she thought it was an appropriate thing to do, and I told her to take it down in that instant. But she was defensive and said, and I quote, "This is part of Mark's life, and you can't just erase it." Then went on about how many hours she spent working on this wall and how I should try to be a little bit more appreciative of her house. Well, Mark was furious and asked her about it, but she was just defensive and she said that she loves the photo. Yes, she loves the photo because it always has been evident that she likes his ex-girlfriend far more than me. Before Mark and I were official, Mark went out to dinner with Linda, which is his mother, and did not bring me so she could talk to him about how he should, quote, be with one of his much more attractive and classy friends, like Sarah. She told him that he can do better before even knowing me, based solely on my financial background and the way I look. And that he hasn't given any other girl a real chance since he doesn't even know what's out here. Obviously, he disagreed, and he's certain that I'm the girl that he wants to spend the rest of his life with. We moved in together that month, and Mark had already talked to her multiple times about this, and she gets defensive and aggressive every single time. He has not mentioned this issue to me again since, and I haven't brought it up until we recently decided to go on a honeymoon. Okay, so it sounds pretty simple. Me and Mark wanted to choose a honeymoon before the wedding. I hate conflict, I hate disappointing people, and I hate stress. The little planning I tried to do was greeted by Mark's sister saying things like, "It can't be during my children's cheerleading. I have to be matron of honor. I can't afford to get the girls' outfits, so you'll have to get those or hire somebody to make them." His mother constantly was saying things like, "I don't think you know the cost of what you want. I think you should do this instead." Well, I just got tired of the demands. So I talked to Mark and he agreed and said we want to make memories that'll last a lifetime together. While yes, a wedding is a great thing, so many people I've talked to said they wish they have done a better honeymoon than a wedding. And Mark said that, with the way I am, I'll give in to all the demands and I'll be miserable at the wedding because it'll become about making everybody else happy. Like, I don't want to disappoint or hurt my father, but I just feel more excited to go on a great honeymoon than I ever felt thinking about a wedding. In fact, I just felt dread over a wedding because I was so stressed. Last month, Mark told about our honeymoon plans in Fiji to Linda. She got pretty angry since we missed her retirement part, which she wanted to be in August. She doesn't have a date yet because she apparently wants it to be on a Saturday in a certain location. I asked why she could not have her state wedding on a weekday, and she just laughed it off because some people would have to take a day off work and she didn't want to ask that of them, and said we would cut out our honeymoon short. She's never mentioned that before, but now she floated to the idea that we move our vacation. But Mark explicitly told her that we would not be able to make it because we were planning our honeymoon and we could not do both at the same time. Linda said it was okay. Maybe she will plan her retirement party some other day. In the same breath, she graciously offered to pay for the honeymoon. That night, we had a coach, flights, and a hotel booked directly with Fiji Airways. Mark paid on his card while we were on a Skype call, but the flights were booked in my name and with my email. Well, unknown to me and Mark until the day before our honeymoon, the flights have been canceled by somebody. I got a no-reply email from the airline about the cancellation and figured something odd might be going on when trying to add my flight to my account on both the airline's website and app. It said the details were invalid, so I called up the airline to check. Well, it was. They had been canceled, but no info on when it was done and by who was given the cancellation. It was apparently done by, quote, the customer. I was hoping that the cancellation call was recorded, but the person I spoke to could not give me the phone number the cancellation call came from, nor could they tell me a name or gender. I was told to file a complaint via form and email on their website to get more information, and I immediately called Mark to ask what happened and why the ticket was canceled. But he had no idea and started yelling because Linda is well known to be an a-hole, so it would not have been as much of a surprise if it had been her. Well, after some hours, the airline got an earful last night from Mark. He called the airline and cursed them up and down. They still believe the cancellation to have been made by the customer. LPT. Don't tell crazy people your travel details, especially if they're family. We decided to confront her together. The next morning, we asked why she did this and did not tell us. She appeared shocked and played dumb, pretending to have no idea what we were even talking about. She was like she doesn't know anything and that she was sorry that the tickets were canceled. Yeah, bull crap. That's when Sarah unexpectedly showed up at the house and heard us all talking, which is good because she helped us catch Linda red-handed. She started explaining that she had zero intention of coming between Mark and me. I was so confused about what she was talking about. She then went on to say that she only thought she was being invited on a girls' trip with Linda. We asked her what she was talking about, and she said that Linda had booked her an all-inclusive paid vacation to Fiji. We had a serious talk with Linda, and she finally confessed that it was her who called up and canceled the flights. Fiji Air seemingly did not ask for any details other than the reference code, which she got from Mark. She said that she saw the honeymoon as some sort of golden opportunity to bring Mark and Sarah back together. Mark and I went back to our room, trying to process everything that just happened. After all that went down, we were at a loss as to what to do. As we're now talking about getting married soon, it's coming clear to us that we need to do something about this situation. Sarah approached us and told us that she had no idea that Linda had any ulterior motives. At first, I was a bit hesitant to believe her, but the more we talked, I realized that she was not the kind of girl. She even suggested that we work together to confront Linda and get to the bottom of this. She spoke about how she had trusted Linda as a friend, and how she herself felt seriously manipulated. Well, I don't want to be controlled by my mother-in-law anymore, so I made a decision. A couple days later, Mark flew out with me to Pennsylvania, where my parents lived, and we got married. Yeah, without inviting problematic family members along the way. It was a small wedding hosted by my father. Basically an elopement with an after-party picnic, and no wedding dress, no cake, just a pavilion in the park. A photographer, and we live in a state where we can do a quick self-uniting wedding, meaning no one needs to officiate. The party was made up of my family and Mark's extended family and all our closest friends and my godchild, who by the way is 14 years of age. Because she's a big part of my life and I helped raise her for the better part of her life before I moved here. And then we invited Sarah as well. I loved my wedding. We exchanged vows in a really beautiful and intimate setting, symbolizing our commitment to each other and our resilience in the face of adversity. We had a great time. A blast. Really. A potluck. Meet at a restaurant. We took some pictures together at the local park and got a cheap cake from Sam's Club. We backpacked through some places, slept in a few hostels, and rode the train. Got presents from everyone and had a blog so they could keep track of us even. Seeing our Instagram pictures, Linda calls Mark and mentioned that I, quote, made a lot of people mad by eloping. That I made the family feel excluded and some choice words that conveyed her opinion. I raised you. I deserve to be a part of your wedding day. Obviously, you didn't care about me as you cut me out like this because of a girl like Jane. Well, I know she's being mean and is most likely jealous that I got to have this adventure without her toxicity. We did end up traveling to a different area of the country for a couple of weeks as a honeymoon. We're now back, and my mother-in-law wants the wedding back on, rescheduled to whenever it's safe. We told her we already got married, and she said this could be considered a reception. She still has the money so they can afford it, however, we don't want it. We've had our wedding day, we don't need another. We called Sarah and asked her to come. During the trip, we three have been planning to confront Linda one last time, asserting our newfound solidarity. So, we tell Linda to leave the wedding topic and focus on why they stooped so low with your stupid little plan. To which she says she wants Mark to be happy with somebody like Sarah. Sarah gets emotional at this point. She said that she has moved on from Mark, found a new partner, and is incredibly happy in her current endeavor. She also said that she was hurt by Linda's actions and did not appreciate being used as a pawn in her dirty little plan. Only now Linda shut up. Her face was, well, she looked defeated, as if all the fight had been drained right out of her just like that. Well, Mark and I both thanked Sarah for coming, and we told her that we did not blame her for anything, and that we were glad to have her on our side for once. We then turned to Linda and firmly reiterated that we do not want another wedding or her toxic behavior. Linda starts to cry and said that she just wanted Mark to be settled better. She kept on apologizing for trying to bring Mark and Sarah together, and Mark established a boundary to not include her in our lives. Last week, we considered going no contact with Linda since everything has come out of her for the past while she's been so negative. The approach we have is to avoid any kind of conversation when possible. Just a few words out of courtesy when needed. You know, during meals like good morning, good night, that's about it. Mark has stopped talking normally, and whenever he really needs to talk to her, he addresses her as, quote, the person who wanted his engaged son to be with his ex. Honestly, I'm just done. I don't really want to improve my relationship with her. I'm not the best daughter-in-law in the world, but I also feel like I have not been that horrible. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So today's story is such a wild ride. I mean, what's up with this mother-in-law? Can't she take no for an answer? Guys, there is 4 updates of this story. Update number 1, it's a kind word of congratulations. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe if you want to see daily videos, and just know, it is the best way to support me. Thank you so much for that subscription, guys, and let's jump into update number 1. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words and congratulations. You guys have helped me put things into perspective, and everyone talking about my father and cherishing him, don't worry, I do. I have the best father. He understands how I felt and helped me have the wedding I really wanted. After about 2 weeks or so since the wedding, I started getting tons of phone calls and texts from Mark's family. I rarely speak to a lone C, asking me if I was alright. My phone's been blowing up with calls from some calling me immature and a brat for doing what I did and simply disrespecting my mother-in-law. Turns out, my mother-in-law was calling them and telling them I was mentally unstable and she feared I would pluck away her son's life. I was hurt by her twisted bullcrap that several hours after that conversation I had my very first ever panic attack. And ever since, I just cannot bring myself to consider talking to that person again. My father has told me I should block everybody. Mark, too, has been getting some pressure from family to reconcile. We told Linda that if she cannot respect us, she did not need to be with us. She huffed and she puffed and said, "Well, I'm the owner of this house, and I'll do what I want." Mark respectfully told her that she needed to respect our boundaries or our level of communication will simply lessen further and we will eventually move out. She changed the subject and then quickly made an excuse to get out of the room. The next day, she accused me of turning him against her. I was honestly so done with all this drama at this point. I'd already dealt with so much stress and anxiety because of her manipulative behavior. So I told her that I was not the reason for the strain in their relationship and that it was entirely her doing. I also reminded her that Mark was an adult capable of making his own decisions, and that he chose to stand by me and support our marriage. In spite of all this, my husband has tried many ways to get her to understand, but nope. So, we had no choice but to move out. We lived in my parents' house temporarily till we found a suitable apartment. Suddenly, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, she was now desperate to talk to us. She called my father and told him to merge the call with me and tried to make small talk, but Mark just kept giving her short one-sentence answers. Then we hung up. Throughout the whole time, we did not talk to her. She's been trying to get my father to talk to her, saying she's sorry, how much she's missing us, and how she wants to hear our voices. She probably can't bear the fact that her son's living in a poor man's house. It feels bad to see my parents caught in the middle of this family drama, but we made the right decision in moving out. Update number 2. I know some time's passed since I did my last update. From the bottom of my heart, thank you to everyone who sent me kind words and encouraging private messages. Linda somehow changed my husband's mind. He wanted me to give her another chance and wanted me to pick up her call. She was like, "I'm sorry for the way I acted until now. I was wrong to try and come between you and Mark, and I want to support you in any way I can." I asked her what makes her think we'll be any different now, to which she says, "Well, to be honest, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately and I miss Mark. And I realize now that I should not control his relationship. I know it might be hard for you to believe, but I promise just to respect your boundaries from now on." Mother-in-law even made an offer that we can move upstairs here and renovate it to be our home. We would not even have to see her, and the only space we would share is the kitchen. She promised she would be hands-off and treat us like neighbors, and also remove the photos from the wall, of course. I didn't want to move back to the same house where we had so many problems, but Mark was looking forward to going back to his mother's house, so I agreed to give her the benefit of the doubt. We moved back in that week, and a few days later, Linda hosted a gathering in the backyard to celebrate Mark's younger sister's birthday. After all, the guest left. Linda wanted to just sit down and spend the rest of the evening with us. She was very drunk. She didn't stop talking. It started off nice, but then it just quickly progressed into her saying, "I blocked your ex on Facebook for you two, so you should be grateful." I was confused about why she thought that was something Mark would even care about. Then she said that she still is not over Sarah. She says that she sent over a box of family earrings, which have sentimental value for Mark, right to Sarah's house because she did not want to give it to the person who, I quote, put a curse on her son. But unfortunately, Sarah sent it back today. Linda's behavior had been unpredictable before, but this was a whole new level of inappropriate. Mark was speechless. Then he took me to the bedroom and we had a really long conversation. I told him how stupid it was to come back to this woman's house. We're going to report my mother-in-law straight to the cops, but not press any charges. I recorded the initial conversation, and I have proof of her admitting to what she did. She even said it was as easy as pie to cancel the ticket. Update number 3. Well, hey guys, it's me again. I was not expecting to make another update, but there has been a development. Before that, I want to clarify that we do not end up reporting my mother-in-law to the police. After much discussion, Mark and I decided that we would handle the situation privately and just try to move on from it. We then realized that the only way to get back at Linda and ensure that she never interferes in our lives again was to bring her ex-husband Jordan back into her life again. So here's the story. There was, as far as Mark knows, no cheating or other big issues that caused it, but some of the fights were caused by Mark having an attitude. Linda wanted Mark to be disciplined while Jordan was more carefree, and many other things like this made Linda realize she and Jordan were no longer right for each other. Whenever Mark would talk about his father, Linda would get frustrated. Mark doesn't know why she still hates Jordan, but anyways, we plan to give her the taste of her own medicine by trying to get them back together. After a lot of research, we found out that Jordan had moved to a nearby town and is currently single. We also came to know that he was very upset with Linda for dumping him for no reason. When we told him how she ruins our life, he immediately agreed to play along and help with our little plan. We arranged for Jordan to, quote, bump into Linda at a local coffee shop, and when Linda saw him again after so many years, she was uncomfortable and clearly didn't like the idea of being around him. Jordan managed to strike up a conversation with Linda, and the plan seemed to be going pretty well. We were watching from a distance, and Linda was still uneasy and kept glancing around as if looking for an escape. Jordan must have sensed this because he suggested they go for a walk in the nearby park. Jordan came back after some hours, and she told him that she did not want to get back with him and that it was a mistake to even see him again. Jordan played it cool and told her that he just wanted to catch up as old friends. He continued to keep in touch with her, sending her friendly messages and asking her out for coffee occasionally. She obviously declined his invitation, but Jordan remained persistent. We even asked him to get a picture of them two and then post it on Facebook with the hashtag #FamilyForever. Then tag all our family members. Guys, Linda lost her mind. After dinner, she would rant, "Why would he think I'm his family?" Mark and I played dumb. I was just giggling inside, acting like we had no idea what she was talking about, and now she would understand exactly how Sarah and Mark must have felt when Linda tried to connect them again. Linda continued to rant about how Jordan was trying to get back into her life, but we didn't even say anything. Update number 4. Final update posted by OP. I've had several DMs asking how the situation turned out and if my mother-in-law apologized to us, so I figured I'd just make an update. The plan seemed to be working. I recently heard from Sarah that she stopped receiving text or any communication from Linda at all. But there wasn't any apology from her, which I think is because she never found out that this was all a plan. Until yesterday. "What the hell is this?" Linda said as she stormed into our living room holding up her phone with Jordan's post open. "Are you all trying to humiliate me?" We asked what she meant by this, and she snapped, asking us not to play dumb. We know what she was talking about. She demanded to know why we had involved Jordan in our family drama. Mark asked her to calm down and replied, and I quote you, "The same reason you involved Sarah in our lives." We tried to reason with her, telling her that our intention was not to hurt, but to show her how it feels to have someone interfere in her personal life. He reminded her of all the time she had tried to set Sarah up with Mark, and how she had tried to control every aspect of our lives, but she was not willing to listen to our explanation and continued to speak loudly. She even accused us of being hypocritical and trying to embarrass her in front of others. Everyone knows who the hypocrite is. She said, "What kind of son can do this to their own mother?" She says that our plan was cruel and unnecessary and that we should have just talked to her about how they were feeling. Yeah, as if she listened to us at least once. She also said that Jordan had no right to be involved in the family drama and she wanted an explanation for why we had chosen him to help us. We told her that is what she does to us, and Mark also asked why on earth she still hates his dad. But she was not ready to list an answer. And she stormed out of the house after that. I've never seen someone storm off so angry. There's no apology from Linda, which was not entirely surprising. I admit, there were times when I felt guilty for using Jordan to make Linda uncomfortable like we were. But then I would remember all the pain she caused our family and how much she interfered in our lives. It was time for her to learn that her actions have consequences, and we think that this experience will make her reflect on her behavior. Using Jordan may not have been the most ethical solution, but it certainly got the point across. Now, we are really mad with Linda. Can't live at her house anymore, obviously, and me and Mark are planning to find an apartment of our own in the same neighborhood so that Mark can often check up on, well, how Linda's doing. Thank you guys for following me on all this journey. So, as you guys could probably guess, the comment section was not too kind to the mother-in-law of this story. I'll go ahead and lead with some of the top comments from the original post that seem to get quite the amount of attention. Let me know your opinion on some of these comments in the comment section down below, and go ahead and add your comments too. Comment number 1. Wow, OP, your mother-in-law sounds like an absolute nightmare. Good on you for standing up for yourself and your relationships, and for not letting her absolutely just control your life. I'm glad that you and Sarah were able to form a unite from, against her manipulation. It's sad that some people are so desperate to control others that they're willing to go to such lengths. Keep strong and enjoy your marriage without mother-in-law's toxic influence. Comment number 2 says, "Holy moly, that's a lot of drama." Holy drama, Batman. Your mother-in-law sounds like she belongs on a soap opera. I'm sorry you had to deal with all this, but I'm glad you and your husband took a stand and did not let her ruin your wedding on honeymoon. I mean, it's great that you and Sarah were able to come together and confront her about all this disaster. So guys, it seems like the comment section is just really happy that OP and Sarah could find some sort of bond to go ahead and beat the evil villain, aka the mother-in-law of the story. But I would love to hear from you guys to know exactly your thoughts about this story. Drop them down below. Let's discuss it. If you're new to the channel, guys, consider subscribing. On average, only 5% of viewers are actually subscribed to the channel. So if you have a second, just go ahead and click that subscribe button. It really affects me and it helps me a lot. Alright guys, have a great day and I'll see you tomorrow.